So let's go ahead and look at this video of essentially this white guy talking about proximity to blackness.
This video is for educational purposes only. I want to present this in a way that I will not get flagged. Racism is such an insidious disease that has pervaded the hearts and minds of people in this country for centuries. Our country was founded on the politics of white supremacy. And one of the ways that racism is perpetuated in this country, especially systemically or institutional racism, is because people believe that their proximity to people of color or to black people excludes them from the possibility of being racist. It's the I have black friends, I can't be racist argument, or I'm married to a person of color and we have beautiful biracial babies, or my best friend is black, or I've had 3 black people at my house last week. Do notice how they always know the exact number. You can be a person of color or have proximity to a person of color and still be an agent of the ideology. In fact, one of the ways that this ideology continues to thrive is by tokenizing people of color. It's given, as long as I follow Candace Owens and Officer Tatum and I've read a Thomas Sowell book, I can't be racist. I'm safe. Furthermore, let us not forget it was J.D. Vance who first sounded the alarm about Trump. Remember, it was J.D. Vance who called Trump America's mustache man. I honestly believe that J.D. Vance at his core probably wasn't as extreme in the ideology. Unfortunately, it became politically expedient to advance his career to assimilate.
So yeah, I actually agree with that. I just want to read this little bit right here. If I have it up on the screen, I should. It says having proximity to people of color or black people does not exempt a person from being racist. Furthermore, we cannot conflate interpersonal racism with institutionalized racism. They are not the same. This is why it's not enough to not be racist. It must be anti-racist. So that's the thing about it. So people would say, well, I'm not racist. I mean, what do you guys really benefit from? I'm not racist. I'm okay with black people. And it's like, this is why when people say like, oh, black people can't be racist, racism isn't just as simple of as I don't like that person because they're black, and that's it. It doesn't just end there. Okay, where we then go and say it's not only that, but we're going to have laws in place. We're going to have racist people who are in positions of power. Look at why you also have the people with the white capes and robes on, okay? Why they all wear the hoods. Because they're your lawyers, your doctors, your architects, they're your judges, they're your cops, they're in all of these, your teachers. Now, if they showed the face and said, hey, I don't like your people, and then you look like, whoa, hold up, then there'll be a backlash, right? I mean, this was a political party back in the day, anyways. So, you go and look at that. You have laws that say, you have segregation, you had Jim Crow and redlining, busing. There's so many other little things that were going on. So you go and look. That's why you have certain stories now where, let's say, a black person, which we had a black couple, they were trying to sell their house. And let's say the house is really worth $1 million. Okay. They were getting a number of like 700,000. Like, that's all it is. And then they did an experiment. They had a white friend that they knew. They said, I want you to pretend like this is your house. And I also want you to like kind of decorate it and make it not look so ethnic. And let's see what happens. The appraisal was what the $1 million mark was. You know what I mean? So you're shortchanging people by a lot. You have a lot of different stuff that has happened, in the past where you killing civil rights leaders. Okay, why? So that you can't organize people. Okay, black people prospering. You had many black Wall Streets, not just Tulsa, Oklahoma. You had many black Wall Streets that took place throughout history. Bombed, destroyed, burnt, boom, right? Then you had Oscarville, okay, which you may be like, well, Oscarville, what is that? Lake Lanier. It used to be one of these black enclaves. To then where they said, oh, something happened. I think they did it. Let's go and burn it down and let's go and just kill a whole bunch of black people just because we can. That's what ended up happening. They did poultry, they did a whole bunch of stuff in the area, but mostly poultry. Then they moved it to Gainesville. Okay, the people who actually survived, all of the acres of land collectively that the black people had, of course, were taken over by the white people, and now it's a lake. Okay, and that's why people also say that they believe it's haunted, because there's a lot of mysterious deaths going on in that little lake that was made. But there's so many other things that happen. So people conflate, well, I mean, I like black people. My best friend's black. I mean, Alex, she's great. I mean, come on. Okay. And like you said, I had counted three black people at my house. I mean, I'm cool with them. But are you also cool with the laws and regulations that are put onto black people as well? Heck, I even did a dive. It was on Section 8 and not WIC, but it was on Section 8 and the projects. And it was very interesting. Okay? Because essentially, because people were like, nah, you had black men who left, whatnot. Then I looked it up. So you could have couples who were living together and they received Section 8, but they didn't get that grade of approvals. They made it so that you had to essentially have only the mother or just one parent, which really was the mother. Why? Because they assumed, because you're a man, regardless of you being black, you are now the head of household, right? You should be paying all the bills. You should be able to sustain. So if you're there and she's there and y'all trying to get assistance, something's not adding up, because he's supposed to be the breadwinner. He's supposed to be making as much money as the white man, right? So that's the whole thing with that. So what they ended up doing was making rules, be like, well, we're going to deny if he's here. So then that's how you also aided in breaking up the black family in that regard. Because people are like, well, shoot, I got surviving. You ain't making any money, dude. And then you had, the filtration of guns in the community. And then you had crack being added in the community as well. We don't know how they got there, but you had all of this stuff that is being added in the community, and you're wondering why the destruction was what it was, So at the end of the day, I like what it is that he said, because you have people who think it's just an individual thing where, well, I don't mind black people. It is what it is. But then it's like, but you're okay with the system that allowed you to have X amount of land, that allowed you to have a job over this person, even though this person may have been more qualified than you. Just because you're, legacy, whatever the case may be, you're a relative, whatever. It's okay when it benefits you in other ways, but you think because I'm not traditionally racist that somehow black people aren't having issues still that is perpetrated by the system. Those are two different things. So I did like what he said, but let's go ahead and look at some of these comments. Colonizer and slave plantation masters almost always had children with slaves they owned, period. That is true. Danny, thank you for following up your recent post. With this post, you bring up a lot of valid points. I will also add that some of the people that white conservative nationalists evade, like Candace Owens, don't realize that Candace Owens had also sold her soul to align herself with the white conservatives. Yes. Okay, she says some greasy stuff. Let me just say that. For money and fame, I'm probably going to state some things that you already know. All right, it says, after receiving racist death threats while in high school, the NAACP helped Owens' family sue the Stanford Board of Education in federal court, alleging that the city did not protect her rights, resulting in $37,500 in settlement in January 2008. In 2015, Owens was the CEO of Degree 180. In a 2015 column that Owens wrote for her site, she criticized conservative Republicans, writing about the bat-ish crazy antics of the Republican Tea Party. She also added that the good news is they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep. And then we can get right on with the obvious social change that needs to happen immediately. After failing to make money on being anti-conservative, she had a great awakening and became conservative. I'm oversimplifying things here, but that's the gist of it. Because at the end of the day, you see that if you target one group of people and hate on them, you get a lot of views. Okay. You can even look at this with the red pill incel podcast bros, right? Where we all know who they're targeting all the time. Okay. And it's just normal. It's like, yeah, this is perfectly fine. And they get views. I mean, heck, the quote unquote leader of it, Kevin Samuels, he said the same thing. He said, when I was talking about helping out men and, bringing up the community and what you can do to change, he said I wasn't getting the views that I should have been getting. He said, then I directed attention to women, black women in particular, and my views were just ridiculous at how high I was, so I had to continue it. So that's one of the things. Like this one person says, it's not enough to not be racist. We have to become anti-racist. Yes, overall, collectively. But let me know what you all think about this down below.